Ready? Okay. B-O-N-U-S-R-O-U-N-D. B-O-N-U-S-R-O-U-N-D. Give us your knowledge at Central Arizona College. B-O-N-U-S-R-O-U-N-D. B-O-N-U-S-R-O-U-N-D. Bonus round, bonus round, go bonus round! Okay, so today in the bonus round, we're talking about seeds. And what I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about is a little bit of agriculture, right? Gardening, if you will. And I mentioned this a little bit in our actual lecture video, but the idea of growing crops together to help each other. So one of the issues that a lot of nutritionists and agriculturists have with the current state of agriculture in America is that most farming nowadays takes place in what are called monocultures. And what a monoculture is just a single type of plant planted a whole bunch in really close proximity to each other, right? If you drive through Iowa, it's just corn everywhere, okay, as far as the eye can see. That is what is called a monoculture. And the problem with monocultures is that they really, because you have a lot of the same plant, it's all taking the same nutrients out of the soil, and so it can be really bad for the actual topsoil there. And just putting down fertilizer or watering doesn't really help replenish all of the nutrients that are lost every year. That's actually why the Dust Bowl back in Oklahoma was in the early 1900s was a thing, because there was just so much farming of these monocultures that the soil was just totally depleted. Another problem is that diseases that affect a single type of plant can be devastating to the crops, right? If you have something that infects corn or an insect or parasite that harms corn, you can wipe out entire crop fields and leave these farmers with nothing, which is bad news, not only for them, but for us down the line. And so one thing that I really am for is the idea of planting different plants together to help each other, kind of have this symbiotic relationship with each other. And the one I really specifically want to talk to you is sometimes known in the culinary or the agriculture world as the Three Sisters, or the Trinity, if you will. And that is when you plant corn, squash, and beans all together right next to each other. Now, it might seem like they would crowd each other out, but actually they really mutually benefit each other. So, for starters, you have the corn stalk, which grows up really tall and is a great support for bean vines that need to climb to grow. And so beans will climb up around the corn. Now, at the base, you have the squash. And now the squash have kind of two functions there. One, they've got these big leaves, and the squash themselves are really big. And so they provide shade for the ground right around the corn and the bean roots. And that helps to keep the soil moist, and provide shade and shelter. Now, the other thing is that a lot of squashes have kind of spiny vines to them, and that helps ward off predators that would need to approach, climb up and get these vegetables or seeds from the beans and the corn. And so they have that relationship on the top, and then in the soil, which I touched on this really briefly, corn especially is notorious for just gobbling up what are called nitrates out of the soil. And that's bad because it's really hard to replenish those once they're gone. Now, the one thing that's really good at doing that is legumes or beans. And beans are excellent. They have these bacteria that live on their roots that will actually take nitrogen and make it into nitrates. In this, it's called a fixing nitrogen. Okay, and so not only do you have this support and mutualism up top, but also in the soil, they really balance each other out, producing nitrate and then using it. And so this idea is not a new one by any means. And in fact, this idea of the three sisters dates back to pre-Columbian times. Actually, the Iroquois Indians, which lived in New York at the time, kind of are notorious for using this type of agriculture. And just as a point of how integral and important this was to their whole lifestyle, is that they actually had legend spirits which they correlated to each of these three plants: squash, corn, and legumes. And they referred to these three sisters as Deohako, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right, or at least close. But what's really interesting and important to notice here is, first of all, this plant relationship was so important that these Native Americans had spirits which were correlated to them. So they're so integral. And whenever they referred to these three spirits, there were three separate spirits, they would only ever refer to them as a single group. And much like if you think of like the three wise men, if you're familiar with that, nobody ever talks about like that frankincense one, right? They're a group. Same with these spirits. And that just goes to show not only that they were important enough to have spirits based on them, but also that they were so interconnected with each other that they were always referred to as kind of this single group rather than three separate individuals. So I hope that kind of sheds some light on the importance of these plant relationships. And maybe if you want to try that out yourself in your own little garden, it's a great idea. As for the lab this week, there will be a separate video coming in just a little bit, which will show you how to do the lab, because we're going to do a little thing called calorimetry, because that works really well with grains that we've been talking about this week. So keep your eye out for that. And in the meantime, we'll see you then. Bye.